SuperTalk Mississippi media production. Pike County, here comes your morning show. Dave in the morning on 93.5 FM, SuperTalk Mississippi.
So now, understand, you're not going to dictate to me what I do and what I don't do, but I'm still the mayor, Mr. Brown.
Bloody angle, the symmetry. Your cheap adhesive isn't holding me. My mouth is a gun I can shoot. I can show you the truth. No pun intended, no punishment. If I offended you, you needed it. Ideas are the bombs in your mind. A fisher in time. If you don't have a weapon, you can't have mine.
None of this meeting is recorded. None by any party. Correct?
No, sir, mine is recorded. I'm being accused.
Any conversation.
Said I want to make it on record. I want the allegations in writing, or the accused, or on recording of this harassment.
And now, here's your host, Dave Hughes.
Good Wednesday morning. How are you? Oh, boy. Well, last night we had a work session of the McComb City Board of Mayor and Selectmen. And I may wind up having to add to my intro to the show because, well, it's just a theme at this point. We'll get back to the blow-by-blow details in a moment. But first, let's just check in and see how things went last night, shall we?
Well, it's time to do something, Mayor. You've been there 6 years, and it's been going south for 6 years.
And you want to blame it on me? Don't blame it on me.
You're the chief guy.
I'm the chief, but don't blame it on me.
Oh, yeah, it's going great. Going fantastic. We got a lot to get to there, which we will do here in just a minute. Before we do that, I do want to give some breaking news that happened in New York. The CEO of the insurance division of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson, they were having a conference at a Hilton in Midtown. Been having it this week, going over stuff. Well, Brian Thompson went walking out of the hotel this morning, and there was a man waiting on him, wearing a mask, opened fire from a distance as soon as he got there, got outside, and gunned him down. He's dead. Police, from what I've read of it, what little I know, believe it was a targeted attack. The guy was sitting there waiting on the insurance executive to show up so that he could kill him. We have now reached the point in America where you can very factually say working in insurance is a very dangerous job. I'm not sure that's where we want to be, but that's society in general. Which does kind of lead us back to the main topic, and there is absolutely no way we will get all the audio in from last night's work session about this first topic. We literally don't have enough time. We would need about a 2-hour show just to have the time on the clock to get everything in. But the work session last night started. Before they started on the agenda, there was something that happened yesterday. If you hadn't heard about it, the Pike County Board of Supervisors put out a statement. That statement was about, well, I'll let the mayor tell you.
This is our first work session in the month of December. Before I turn it over to Mr. Meyer, I have a statement that I need to read.
Here we go.
As the mayor of the city of McComb, I want to respond to the letter sent to the city of McComb, Board of Mayor and Selectmen and Select Women, and shared with the Enterprise Journal by the Pike County Board of Supervisors. Let me begin by stating, public safety is very important to me. I want the citizens of McComb to feel safe in their homes, automobiles, as well as when they are shopping. I am also concerned about the safety of our police officers, both their physical and mental. This board has attempted to address many of the concerns within the police department. This letter submitted to us by the Board of Pike County, by the Pike County Board of Supervisors, was not done in good faith. Sharing it with the Enterprise Journal before discussing this so-called proposal with the McComb City Board was deceitful and disrespectful. I see it as an attempt to influence public opinion or a political stunt. The Sheriff Department is the chief law enforcement officer for the county, which includes the 4 municipalities, Magnolia, McComb, Osaka, and Summit. The president of the Pike County Board of Supervisors is quoted in the Enterprise Journal. McComb makes up about 35% of the tax base. So goes McComb, so goes Pike County. Why should the citizens of McComb have to pay again for services we already pay for? In this letter, it speaks of a metro unit within the Pike County Sheriff's Office and under the direction of the Pike County Sheriff Department. To have this unit operating in the city under the sheriff would undermine the authority of the McComb Police Department. Finally, I want to address this so-called proposal. If the Pike County Board of Supervisors would have prepared a true proposal, it would have clearly highlighted the number of officers, operational protocol, as well as the cost to operate. I view it as an attempt to cover themselves, or in other words, for them to say, at least we tried. If the Pike County Board of Supervisors are sincere about wanting to help the city of McComb, I suggest that you put your hidden agendas and egos on the shelf and let us sit down as elected officials and work together to address the issue of gun violence in McComb, Pike County, Mississippi.
Okay, that was the mayor's response to the letter that was sent out yesterday. There is absolutely no way you can categorize that as anything other than angry. He is so mad that somebody's trying to help save lives in McComb. How dare you not come bend your knee and beg me to let you help me? That's the impression that I got listening to that. If you're not familiar with the letter that was sent, in part, I'll start at the top. Dear Honorable Mayor and Board of Selectmen and Select Women, today we are deeply concerned for both the safety and well-being of our community. The staffing challenges within the McComb Police Department have created not only understandable anxiety among our citizens, but also pressure on existing officers who continue to serve despite increasingly difficult circumstances. While we are encouraged by McComb's recent hiring of new police officer recruits, just hired 5 a couple of weeks ago, we recognize that more positions remain vacant in a department that should be staffed with more than 30 officers. This understaffing level puts both our citizens and current law enforcement officers at significant risk. Recent national police wellness studies show that understaffing has severe consequences. Officers experiencing stress and fatigue, we've talked about that, sleep disruption, and increased conflicts due to work-related stress. We've talked about all of this in the past. They're exactly right with all of that. Officers are facing these same challenges, working longer hours with fewer resources while trying to maintain the level of service our community deserves. We're proposing the creation of a metro unit within the Pike County Sheriff's Office. The specialized unit under the direction of the Pike County Sheriff would be, that's the sticking point for the mayor. Under the direction of the Pike County Sheriff. I want to be in charge. Look at me. I'm the special one here. Again, that's the impression it gives. This specialized unit, back to the letter here, the specialized unit under the direction of the Pike County Sheriff would be dedicated to providing additional deputy patrols within McComb's city limits, serving as a vital support system during this critical period. This initiative represents both a strategic response to our community's current law enforcement needs and a crucial support measure for your existing officers. The proposed unit would work in coordination with the McComb Police Department, providing supplementary law enforcement coverage while the police department works to reach full staffing levels. The Metro unit is envisioned as a temporary measure designed to phase out gradually as the McComb Police Department achieves its recruitment goals and returns to full operational strength. As this unit will primarily serve within the municipal limits of the city of McComb, the associated additional costs for these additional deputies on patrol would need to be covered by the city of McComb. Okay, yeah. Kind of makes sense. We would also propose consideration of an Operation Unity partnership between the McComb Police, the Pike County Sheriff's Department, state agencies, federal agencies, and federal prosecutors, similar to successful programs implemented in other Mississippi cities. They do this in several other cities around the state, but that's not good enough, obviously, for some of us. This initiative would enable additional law enforcement to develop cases while state and federal prosecutors handle case processing for violent crimes and gun-related offenses, and enhance the force's effectiveness through prosecution of violent offenders. It goes on from there. And you heard the response, the immediate response to this suggestion. To me, it felt an awful lot, that response, and it doesn't stop there. Oh, the mayor was so mad last night. You can hear it. You're not going to have to take my word for it. When we get back from the break, you're going to hear it. He was angry. He was ticked off. It's kind of like if you're on the Titanic and you start taking on water and there's a problem and you're not sure you're going to make it, and another boat pulls up and offers to help, and you start screaming at them because they didn't ask you first if they could come ask you to help. I would rather sink than dare let someone else suggest something. This is a suggestion. I would rather let the boat sink than have someone suggest that we need help before they check with me first. Want my opinion on that? That's a stupid attitude. Oh, just wait. We got more. We'll let you hear exactly what happened at last night's meeting, as much as we can, when we continue on SuperTalk Mississippi Pike County 93.5. Keep it here.
Will we live when we die? Just keep on saving our goodbyes. The fear and the ghost. The world will stain us with the scarlet cross.
Don't miss Dave in the morning, even when you miss it the first time. You can catch it on the podcast. Missing out would be a crime. SuperTalk 93.5 is always the place to be. Wanna get the podcast version? Here, my friend, is the key. SuperTalk by County.com. It's all there and it's all the rage. Spotify, Amazon, or Apple, or just right there on the page. Dave in the morning, late at night, or anytime you have to pray. SuperTalk, PikeCounty.com. It's all there and it's all the rage. Spotify, Amazon, or Apple, or just right there on the page.
Feeling fancy? Feeling festive? You can do both this Thursday at Selman's Jewelers. Come see a showcase of pre-owned high-end watches, including pre-owned Rolexes, taste high-end bourbons, and make holiday wish list. We can't wait to see you this Thursday from 5 to 8, Selman's Jewelers, 1311 Delaware Avenue, McComb, your family-owned and operated jewelry store since 1945.
You'd hurt me, I guess you live in love. Only blame was why you're bound to get burned. Oh, I've been mistreated, I've been used before. I get kicked in the face, till I come back for more. But I won't cry no more, cause the tears are all in vain. We can pick up the pieces, start it all again. Let's just get back to the way it was before.
Well, we have to assume the alien invasion that was predicted for yesterday is a secret one. If so, it's still ongoing, right? Ronnie says aliens picked him up. Said he was old and broke down like the other sample they had gotten named Joe Biden. Picked him up in Africa. So they put him back too, left and said they'd get samples from another galaxy, then went by the board meeting to try to find some signs of intelligent life, and they're going back to their home planet. Yeah, but, well, we had some signs. We did have some signs. We are going through last night's work session of the McComb City Board of Mayor and Selectmen, and what I am characterizing as a severe overreaction to an offer for help. Because, as is made clear, you will hear, the offer is not the problem. It's the way they did. You didn't touch second base. You did not properly bend the knee. You should genuflect whenever you present a letter to the Board of Mayor and Selectmen. Otherwise, you're just going to make the mayor angry. Let's go back. We had a discussion period. This lasted for about an hour last night. We had a discussion period starting with Ward 1 Selectman Tommy McKenzie.
We're going to discuss this to the board, or is that it?
That's my statement now. If you all want to discuss the letter.
Well, how about we invite the sheriff's office up here and let's discuss the details.
But I thought you said wait till the police chief come back. That's what you said last week. Don't you remember you said you go wait till the police chief? You said you would love to get his response on this matter. Don't you remember saying that?
When's the police chief going back?
I don't know, but don't you remember saying that?
Monday. So next Tuesday at the board meeting, police chief will be here. Let's invite them and hear the details.
But we also talked.
I don't want to hear the details. I want the details presented so I can read through them and be able to talk to them intelligently. Standing up here presenting it to me is not providing me something in writing that I can see, I can read through, and if I have questions, I could ask.
All right, now, we've just set the standard. Anybody that's coming forward to get the fees waived for a city building usage, anyone who's coming forward to come to the board for a permit, you better submit it in writing first, because the mayor is not very good with processing verbal information. That sounds like what he just admitted to me. He's got to have it in writing and got to have some quiet time to go over it. Just wait. You're going to hear a large selection, a large swath of desperately coming up with one thing after another to be mad about somebody offering to help. There was one. Well, we actually, it was two, because the first one was Select Woman Tabitha Felder Isaac, saying, "No, wait a minute, I thought you didn't want to do anything until the police chief was here." This is so typical. This is so on brand for the McComb City Board. She didn't know when the police chief was going to come back, didn't want to know, hadn't bothered to even ask the question, but thought that was a valid way to attack the idea of having the Sheriff's Department and the Board of Supervisors come up there so they can talk this over. I don't want to talk it over. I want them to submit this appropriately. This is, in business terms, this entire thing is what you would call a letter of intent. I realize there's only one or two people sitting around that board table that understand business or have ever really dealt with it at a high level, but that in a lot of cases is the first step you take. You send a letter of intent. What we'd like to do is this. We're going to do it this way, this way, this way. Love to sit down and talk with you about it. And then you conduct business. Or you can react by getting mad because they didn't start with the fully fleshed out proposal. The fully fleshed, look at it like this. I'll even break it down to a more simple term. Your car starts making a weird noise. It finally reaches the point, it gets bad enough that you take it in to go get something done. You know it's reached that point when you can no longer turn the radio up loud enough to drown out the noise that the engine is making. So you know you have a problem that has to be addressed, that has to be dealt with. You can't drown it out with a Meatloaf song anymore. You take it in. The first thing you do is pull up and say, "Hey, my car's making this weird noise. Can you take a look at it and see if you can do anything?" They look at it, they come back and say, "Hey, figured out what the problem is. You got 6 squirrels in your carburetor. We can clean them out. They're not happy, but we can clean them out, and we can do this and this and this. It's going to cost you some money, though. But if you don't do it, your car's about to break down." Do you then pitch a fit at the mechanic because they didn't bring you a written proposal listing every single detail and making sure to call you "sir" at the beginning of every sentence before you let them help fix your vehicle? Or do you say, "Well, I got to have this vehicle. It's the only way I got to get to work. Yeah, go ahead and do it. How much?" And then they tell you. We skipped past the how much part. We skipped past everything, all in the service of ego. And I'm sorry, it gives the impression of we don't want anybody else coming in here and messing around with the criminal activity in the city of McComb. We want everybody else, just leave that alone. That's the impression it gives. I'm sorry, it does.
That's what I'm looking for. Don't stand up here and talk about a proposal. Give me the written proposal and let me go through it and let me have the opportunity to develop my questions as it relates to it. But they did not do that.
That's because this is the first step in the process. They put out a letter and said, "Hey, this is what we'd like to do. What do you think?" They're not forcing you to do it. This is our proposal. This is what we'd like to do. If you're on board with this, if you think this is a good idea, let's talk it through. Let's work out the details. That's what this letter was for. It's the opening of negotiations, with sane people. But no, this should have been a fait accompli. And then there would have been screaming and angry diatribes about how they didn't even talk with anybody before they put together the full plan and proposal. And I'm insulted. And I'm telling the truth. That's why they released the letter. They were trying to circumvent the usual nonsense that comes out of trying to deal with the city of McComb. How many lawsuits have we had over the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years? How many lawsuits? Don't need to know any details. I'd just like a head count. Every time a lawsuit was filed against the city of McComb. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many? So do not put on airs and pretend that everyone is a stickler for the proper process. Nobody at this point is buying it. You want to show how much you treasure proper procedure? You got 3 years worth of audits you can catch up. Let's get to it. Until you manage that, might want to take a seat on the righteous indignation. Just my opinion.
Well,
they call that letter a proposal.
I'm asking that we would like to, as a board, hear what they want to do.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Why don't they put it in writing before they come up here and talk to us about it and let us read through it?
I don't know. I just wanted to get them to the table and let's discuss it.
Yeah.
It sounds like you are against it no matter what.
I'm not against it. I'm against the way they did it.
Okay. Can we get past that and have a discussion about what they're proposing?
Yeah.
Spoilers, no. I mean, just go ahead and ruin the drama for the rest of the show here. No, we cannot get past that. That is our reason for being. That is our North Star, our guiding light in our life is what can we be offended by today? That's it. And it was on full display. And as a great example, somebody messed up and used the word opinion. Noted scholar Tabitha Felder Isaac, the select woman at large for the city of McComb, took issue with the use of that word.
I've met and talked to some citizens. It's a lot of citizens say no to the idea. We have a few that say yes, the ones who I talked to, but I have more to say no.
How many did you talk to over the 5 hours between when that letter came out and the work session started? And number one is that. Number two, so you're telling me that more people don't want the sheriff's department inside the city of McComb helping to stop crime, helping to, get it under control. More people don't want that than do. Who are you talking to? It's a legitimate question. Not quite sure I understand this, but we keep going.
And like this, a lot of times they say they do not even see the sheriff riding through certain neighborhoods.
Okay, they should be happy then. You just said the majority of them don't want the sheriff's department there. And now you're complaining that they don't see the sheriff's department there. This is the kind of logical pretzel-shaped fallacy that drives me bonkers. You cannot have it both ways. You cannot gripe about both sides of an issue. Constituents are telling me they don't want the sheriff's department in town. And another thing, constituents are telling me they never see the sheriff's department in town. Well, doesn't that attitude just add up to a delight? No way to win. No way to make you happy. You know what happens? And we learned this last month in the presidential election. When you have a group that no matter what you do, when you have an individual, a group, half the country, that no matter what you do, they're not going to be happy. They're going to find a way to gripe about anything and everything. You quit caring if they're happy. That's what happens. That's the way it works. So we might need to adjust the road we're going down there.
They say they see him on Bendad. They see him on 98. But they do not see him in the old price. They do not see him on Thunder Street. I'm saying the sheriff is still obligated to come and serve our community in McComb, Mississippi. And then they talk about a dual relationship. Let me explain what I'm talking about. They say that they cannot work under another agency. That's a dual relationship in counseling. Like just say for instance, I know Mr. Lovely. I'm gonna explain the relationship. We friends, but still, he want to come to me for counsel. That's a good relationship. He cannot do stuff like that. They were saying certain police officers could not work for another agency unless they give them the permission. That's still double standard. You know, it's either a good relationship or not a good relationship. And then they talk about opinion. I wish the lawyer was here. An opinion is just what it say it is. You understand what I'm saying? It's not a law. An opinion is just an opinion. Like this right here, when you get an opinion from the attorney general, it's just an opinion. Like this right here, it's not the law. A lot of times we have people who get it mixed up. They just say it's an opinion. Do you understand what I'm talking about, Miss Terry?
You know what I understand? You know what else isn't the law? It's just your opinion. Whether or not Selectman Cotting can comment on things going on in your ward. That's not the law. Show me in the books where there's a law that a selectman from a different ward can't comment about any of your business. I want to hear this. If we're going to have standards, they're going to apply across the board, or everybody can sit down and shut up as far as I'm concerned. We have heard on and on and on. Selectman Cotting, what are you doing over there? Why are you talking to people in my ward? That's not your ward. Well, that's your opinion. It's not the law. If we're going to go with that, let's go with that. And that immediately eliminates a bunch of other griping. But we can't do that because griping is our life. If we didn't get to complain continuously over and over and over, nonstop, 24/7, 365, we would lose our reason for being. That's the attitude of some of the people sitting around that table, and you wonder why we're not making any progress. You wonder why things are not improving. That's why. And then my favorite part, we go on a little bit, the mayor... I'm not even going to preface this. I'm just going to hit play. And we'll stop it at some point because there's one observation I want to make in here. But just listen to the mayor after Selectwoman Isaac got through screaming about opinions and basically rules for thee and not for me. Came back to the mayor, a different problem. The number of problems with receiving a simple letter, which was an offer of help in a situation with a problem that is resulting in people dying. And that can't be stood for. That's the impression that it's... I don't care what you think. I don't care how you break it down. I'm talking about what the public perception of this is going to be. And it's not that you're a hero standing up for yourself. It's that you don't care how many people die. That's the impression it gives. I'm not saying that's correct, but I am saying that's the impression that it gives, and I'm not sure that's the impression we want to give. So the mayor had another aspect of this that bothered him.
Let me say, when it comes to gun violence, it's not restricted to just McComb. It's Summit, it's Magnolia, it's all over. And there are gun violence that's happening in the county that the county has not solved. So let's not talk about gun violence just in McComb. It's all over Pike County. You know, and we need to acknowledge that. And I don't know why you want to focus just on McComb.
You're the mayor of McComb. What the hell do you think you're supposed to focus on? You have no business worrying about Summit or Magnolia or Osaka or out in the county. Your job, your literal job, is to focus on McComb. How could that possibly be, after 6 years in the mayor's office, a confusing concept? Why would anyone offer to help McComb write a letter addressed to the mayor and selectmen and selectwomen of the city of McComb to help with the problems in McComb and not focus on McComb? That's the most ridiculous thing I've heard, and that's saying something, as you know. What do you think they're supposed to focus on? What do you think you're supposed to focus on? Yes, the problems are everywhere. You have zero influence and zero responsibility for anything happening anywhere else. You were elected the mayor of McComb. You were elected to focus on McComb. If somebody else focuses on McComb and a problem and offers to help, your reaction should not be to become irate and complain and wonder why we're focusing on McComb. Maybe if some of the folks at City Hall spend a little more time focusing on McComb, we wouldn't have as many problems. But we see what the attitude is about focusing on McComb. That was a ridiculous thing to say out loud.
When the shooting that happened out there by Sanderson Farm still have not been solved. But that's the county. Okay? So, and don't tell me that the county is fully staffed, because I know that the county is not fully staffed. And I also know that the county only have 4 people out at night covering the entire county. So when you talk about bringing folks from the county to the city, where are they going to get them when we don't have but 4 folks from the county covering the entire county, north, south, east, and west?
Well, I've got a return question. Now I'm going to do something bad. I'm going to focus on McComb. How many McComb police officers have to work a second and sometimes third job just to be able to pay their bills? So they come to work, they're exhausted, they're stressed, they're tired, they're overworked, they haven't had a day off in a while. Somebody offers to help that. But they didn't properly use thee and thou when they did it. And as a result, we're going to get mad. Yes, bad things happen everywhere. But this is just astounding. This attitude, this mindset. Bad things happen to other people too. I don't know why we're focusing on McComb, because you're the mayor of McComb. That's your job description, is to focus on McComb. The fact that there are problems elsewhere, just because your neighbor's house is on fire doesn't mean you get to ignore the fact that yours is burning to the ground. Why are you just focused on mine? His house is on fire. That one's looking a little warm over there. You should be focused on McComb, period, 100%. Not your own ego. Not whether or not everyone appropriately bends the knee. You should be focused on doing what you can to make things better for the citizens of McComb. Not your own personal butt-hurtedness level. Just throwing everything at the wall. This is the spaghetti model of debate. I'm going to throw out everything that comes to my mind as a reason why this is horrible, and they should all be ashamed of themselves for suggesting that they help us. Something's got to stick, right? All you wind up doing when you use that method, by the way, is making a mess.
You know, I mean, there are a lot of things that's not being said. There are a lot of things that I know that's not being said, but yet we want to make it sound like the county sheriff department is the ultimate answer. No, I say let them, instead of them, we playing overtime, let them come and work under our police department as part-time employees. Let our police chief be over them, not the sheriff.
I'm going to say it again. Oh, we're not done. Like I said, we can go till 3 this afternoon. Well, we don't have that much time. We do have some more, though, and we will continue with this onslaught this full frontal attack when we continue on SuperTalk Mississippi Pike County. Keep it here.
Feeling fancy? Feeling festive? You can do both this Thursday at Selman's Jewelers. Come see a showcase of pre-owned high-end watches, including pre-owned Rolexes, taste high-end bourbons, and make holiday wish list. We can't wait to see you this Thursday from 5 to 8, Selman's Jewelers, 1311 Delaware Avenue, McComb, your family-owned and operated jewelry store since 1945.
Don't miss Dave in the morning. Even when you miss it the first time, you can catch it on the podcast. Missing out would be a crime. Super Talk 93.5 is always the place to be. Want to get the podcast version? Here, my friend, is the key. SuperTalkPikeCounty.com. It's all around, it's all the rage. Spotify, Amazon, or Apple, or just right there on the page. Dave in the morning, late at night, or anytime you have the crave. SuperTalkPikeCounty.com.
Weekday mornings at 6 after 9 on 93.5 FM, or you can catch up anytime by going to
SuperTalkPikeCounty.com.
Dave in the Morning at SuperTalkPikeCounty.com. Catch up and catch on.
I'm in the lion's cave. I've done it all before. I feel alive again, but maybe not for long. And let the day become full of light and desire. Is your life okay? Is it who you
All right.
are? You right on track? Or has it gone too far? Well, only you will know. Don't let the blues
I agree with that suggestion. We got one right before the break. Said the mayor needs anger management help. Kind of get that impression, don't you? Because we continue with the audio. We've got to get we got to get to the one I played the clip at the very beginning of this show. We'll get to that in a second. But first, in addition to everything else, is we've got another strand of spaghetti to chunk at the wall. Everybody, by offering to help the city of McComb, you're just bullying the mayor. No, I'm serious.
If you read the newspaper, Supervisor Hall said, "Don't you think we need to talk to the city before we make this letter public?" Wisdom was speaking, and nobody listened. Nobody. I'm not gonna sit here and be mayor and let a county board of supervisor bully me. Now they can bully you or you, but they're not going to bully me. And that's how I saw this whole process. Talking about if the letter go, it might not come up. Well, you're trying to second guess this board.
No, they have a sense of pattern recognition. They have the ability to discern patterns and operate accordingly, because you have to understand. Now, I realize putting ourselves in somebody else's shoes and seeing things from their perspective is not our strong suit in the city of McComb. I realize that. Fully recognize it. But, so there, while you sit there on your throne and demand that the vassals approach you appropriately. The Board of Supervisors is getting calls. They're getting complaints. They're getting talked to, asking why don't they help? Asking, well, you could come in here and do something. Why can't you help? We're getting shot. We'd love some help. They hear it on a daily basis, but you're supposed to take it unless the mayor grants you leave to speak. Is that what we're supposed to take from this? But we are now to the point, and again, didn't get the message from the election last month. The era of being allowed to scream about how you're being bullied because somebody published a letter in the paper, yeah, that's over. That's done. Nobody's interested in that nonsense anymore. And it's about time to let it go. We're not going to, but it's about time.
And no one should try to second guess this board. It should have been the way Mr. Hall, Supervisor Hall said, that letter, they should have called us and set us down and talked to us. Maybe you like the way it was done. And maybe you feel good about the way it was done.
I do.
But I don't. And that's my opinion. And that's why I said, as the mayor, I spoke as the mayor. I did not speak as the board. I spoke as the mayor.
That's right.
Okay.
I got one word for you. One word. Just one. Just one. Xanax. I think it would be helpful. And by the way, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, you've had somebody sitting around that board in the same conversation that pointed out that's just an opinion. It's not the law. Just because that's your opinion on what you think does not make it the law. Again, spaghetti. All you do is make a mess.
I'm going to make one final statement on Big John because I can't help but do it. You know, you don't want to be bullied by the supervisor. I'm tired of being bullied by criminals. And I want to do something to prevent that. I don't want to be bullied in this city by criminals. And whatever we can put on the table to do it, I want to stop it.
And understand, I want to stop as much as we can. Because we're not going to be able to stop it all. If you're sitting there insinuating that I'm against and I support crime and all this, you're wrong.
Well, it's time to do something, Mayor. You've been there 6 years and it's been going south for 6 years.
And you want to blame it on me? Don't blame it on me.
You're the chief guy.
I'm the chief, but don't blame it on me.
Now, when things go well, if we have something good happen, well, I'm going to take credit for that. But when things are bad, don't you blame it on me. That is at best, in my opinion, which ain't the law, but it's my opinion, that's extremely weak leadership. Again, just my opinion.
I'm not out here committing the crime. Okay.
You appoint all the people.
No, I don't. You all do. I got one appointee. I make one recommendation. I don't appoint the police chief, fire chief, none of those. All those recommendations come from the city administrator. I only appoint the city administrator or make the recommendation, and then you all have to appoint.
Okay.
Okay? Let's get things straight, because what you're doing is twisting it.
No, so let's make sure we get things perfectly clear. You're not in charge of anything. So how do you have standing to sit here and gripe because somebody published a letter in the paper? If you're in charge, you're in charge. If you're not, you're not. You don't get to gripe about your authority not being respected and then turn around and say, but I don't have any authority. Pick a lane. If you're in charge, you're in charge. He's exactly right. The city of McComb, you have heard this. We haven't heard this terminology used in a while, but the city of McComb has a system of government. The mayor board system that we have is a strong board, weak mayor. You've heard that term for, well, your entire life if you've been living here. Strong board, weak mayor. The board has all the power. Not all, but the vast majority of the power. So, if the mayor is weak, why doesn't he act like he thinks he should be? That's our system of government. That's how it's set up. That's in the city charter, which is the city's version of the Constitution. It's the founding document of the city of McComb. Strong board, weak mayor. We had an hour-long diatribe last night in an angry, raised tone of voice because the County Board of Supervisors office offered to help with the problem. Selectman McKenzie, recognizing that we have a strong board, weak mayor, the power is vested in the board of selectmen and select women, said, I want them to come up here and we'll talk about it. They need to come talk to the board. The mayor unilaterally, no. Because I am insulted. I don't want them to talk. I want them to present it to me in writing so that I can formulate questions. You're the weak one here, Mayor. Have a seat. You don't get to vote. That's your defense. So that's the way it is. You just spent all of that time explaining that you don't appoint anybody. You don't have anything to do with this. You can't blame you for any of the problems. Well, then you don't get to take credit for any of the successes. And aside from casting a tie-breaking vote, this is between the two boards. Right? It's like the old saying, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Well, maybe if you yell loudly enough. I got to get that soundbite. You're right. So I just sent it and said, Dave's just like Cartman on South Park. Respect my authority. I've got to get that soundbite. You're right. It's perfect. Another message I received. The buck stops below him.
Closing time. Turn all of the lights on over every boy and every girl.
Can't have it both ways.
Closing time. One last.
There were other things talked about at the work session. There's a lot more audio in this conversation. We don't have time for it. But that's okay. That's okay. There are other days in the week. We shall live to fight another day. Theoretically. I mean, the aliens are still coming, right? They're running late. They missed their appointment. Well, I mean, they got here and, according to Ronnie, gave him a ride, but the main force, the big part is still on the way, so this all may be a moot point. Have a wonderful day. Try to, anyway. And we'll do this again tomorrow morning at 9:06 here on SuperTalk, Mississippi, Pike County. 93.5, my friend. I'll see you then.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.